Well, hello there, bysTaxX here, bringing you the breakdown of Aurora, the system that I'll be using for the upcoming campaign. So, Aurora is a levelless, classless system. You make whatever the hell kind of character you want. I haven't actually fleshed it out entirely, so there is literally no documentation on it. So this will be at least an explanation of how I'm going to be running the system in this campaign. Again, I'm still kind of figuring everything out, so I don't really know what kind of rules that I want to keep and what kind of rules I want to get rid of. I haven't had enough test time in order to do it. And I just remembered that I don't have a D20 on me, so BRB. And back. The Aurora system uses, the only thing that it ever uses is a single D20 for everything. Advantage rolls are, like, advantages can be stacked, because I like that idea of, like, rolling, you're such a badass, you're rolling 5 D20s and picking whichever is highest. So there's that, stacking advantage rolls, which I feel would be really cool. And hopefully not ridiculously broken. But even still, I've discovered that there is like diminishing returns at a particular point, especially with like what would be advantage rolls with the moving on. So the way that the character sheets work is, I did bring them, yay! So, I'm not sure if you can actually see them much, but so this is what my character sheets are going to be. And I'm going to be running it where I'm going to be holding on to the actual character sheets themselves, and then bio is the last page. So I'm going to be holding on to the character sheets, and the way that they're going to create their character is they're going to explain their character to me, and I'm going to jot down the numbers however I see fit to the character. So character creation is DM's discretion at the moment. I'm still trying to figure out a way to logically allow players to just number crunch it. For the sake of this particular campaign, it's a highly narrative campaign. I literally run it without character sheets and without dice over the phone. So there's that. You know, not even keeping track of stats or anything like that. Just over the phone. Widely successful. With one guy. This campaign is actually really interesting because it can be played with. It's a 1v1 campaign that can also handle more than one player. I have a group of 4 players, which I feel is perfect. I've run games with like 12 players, and it's an absolute nightmare. It's obnoxious. It's really terrible to do it that way. I highly recommend that you don't do that. So, moving on. So the system itself is just based off of your stats and skills, and once I actually have something to put down and show you guys, then I'll show you. But I don't right now because we haven't made the characters yet. In the meantime, I can go over the fact that there's 7 stats, which you saw. Strength, Constitution, Dexterity, Focus, Intelligence, Wisdom, and Faith. And faith is not your faith in a particular god or anything like that. It's just your faith in general. You can have just faith in humanity, just faith in yourself, faith in your party, faith in your money, faith in your luck, faith in your strength. Just faith in general. Okay, asshole. I hear you. Anyway. So, and each of the 6 core stats, faith is kind of like a side stat, kind of weird, and it's kind of hard to explain. But each of the 6 core stats have their own unique combat skill, which is based off of not how good you are at combat, it's how good you are at a particular method of combat. Like, aggressive combat is you're just big ass super axe and you're just smashing people's faces in. Precise combat is you're, you know, picking people off at range with the bow and arrow, or using a rapier to just poke the soft pokey bits. You know, and counter combat is you wait for an opportunity and you just counter them, and you know. So there's that, and same thing with the defensive stat for each of the 6 main stats. And yeah, so faith is kind of like a luck, charisma amalgam. It's kind of weird. One of them is intuition, and I'm going to be running intuition as if it's like the metagame stat. It's the metagame skill. How, yeah. So like if the player, you know, if I'm like, okay, everyone roll, and a player's all like, this does not bode well, I go, roll first. I want you to roll for your intuition. Then they roll, and they tell me what number they get, and I look it up, and I'm like, yeah, you have a gut feeling. Your character goes, oh, I've got a bad feeling about this. And I have everyone else roll, and some just didn't do it, and they're like, man, you have a bad feeling about everything. So that's kind of like what it's going to be, is that intuition is going to be like the metagame stat, where you're able to pull player knowledge and impart it into your character. That's what intuition is for. That's just how I'm going to be rolling it. So then there's like all the other classic ones, like, you know, stealth, thievery, and acrobatics, athletics. There's breaching and hauling. Breaching is how well you can kick shit in. Hauling is how well you can carry things away. There's speed stats. There's speed skills. There's speed-based skills. So, like, initiative is a strength-based skill. I've had a lot of time to figure all this crap out. Because the idea is that you're really strong, so you'll take initiative. You'll take the initiative to go forward. You're aggressive, you're forward. You see, that's why initiative is strength-based. Then gait, which is basically like how quickly you move on average. That's constitution, because I have ridiculously long legs, and I have high constitution, but like shit strength. It's weird. I'm like a tenacious bastard, and high dexterity too. But yeah, so you know, your gait is how quickly you can move, from like your average pace. You know, and then dexterity has tempo, which is the rate at which you do things. If you have a high tempo, then you do things more quickly. Like a speed cuber would have a ridiculously high tempo, like especially Matt's Vogue, because that guy's a fucking cyborg. And then you have consult the book. Intelligence has problem solving, so if there's a problem that you need to solve in a set period of time, you know, problem solving will allow you to solve a problem more quickly. Wisdom has wit, so someone says something and you just snap back with a witty remark. It's time-based, because if you wait too long, then you missed your chance. Focus has reaction. Pretty self-explanatory. It's your reflex. Even though there's reflexive defense, but that's defensively, yeah. And then faith has bravery. So just look, yeah, that's bravery. How much faith you have in yourself that you're going to make it out alive. That's your bravery. So you don't stall as much when shit's hitting the fan. You're brave enough to just keep on going and just not break your pace. Also, another thing that I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be taking a note from Fate, the role-playing system Fate, where they have like Fate tokens and Fate points. I'm going to be awarding players D6s, because I have a metric ton of D6s. And that'll be, I'm not really sure what I'm going to call it yet. It's just, you know, I want to make death a thing. I'll go into combat in a little bit, but I want to it's really frustrating when you have a character and the dice just decide that your character is just gonna die. It happens all the time. And that kind of shit is really frustrating. Now, if the player does something stupid, like there's a giant ogre in front of you, and your character goes, I'm going to go up to it and I'm going to taunt it. And the ogre just goes and smashes you into the ground. You fucked up. You're dead. Or a character just goes, I'm going to jump off the cliff. And DM is all like, okay, you jump off the cliff and you hit the ground and you go flat. You just killed yourself. You know, and things like that. Where, you know, penalizing players for being stupid. That's something that I love to do. Because how the world works. But, you know, there's just times when you're being clever and the dice just are not on your side. And, you know, so, like, you roll, like, a crap ton of ones. Like, you just can't roll above a 7 to save your fucking life. I'm just going to be tossing you d6s, and you'll be able to add those d6s to your rolls. I might even make it so that, just to help them out, like, if they roll, like, a pool, you know, and you drop up, and you bring up a 6, you can have, like, exploding dice. Because I love that mechanic in fucking Shadowrun. It's amazing. I love Shadowrun. So, like, if it comes up as a 6, you get to re-roll it, and if it's a 6 again, you know, you roll it, it's a 6, you add 6, and then you roll it again, and then if it's another 6, you pick it up and roll it again. And, of course, the chances of having, like, a crap ton of chained 6s is really low, but, hey, I mean, if the dice gods are just going to be like, you know what, you're being cool, I'm just going to allow you to do it. Which is kind of counterintuitive, because the whole reason why you have them in the first place is because the dice gods are frowning upon you, so why would they smile upon your d6s rather than your d20? Whatever. Now I'm being philosophical and stupid. But yeah, that's what the d6s are going to be there for. I'm probably just going to give everyone 1 d6, maybe 3 d6s to start off with. You know, just 3 dice of good luck. Because shit happens, and sometimes shit happens really early. So, yes. Now, how do characters advance stat-wise, skill-wise? You do something cool, or you keep trying to do the same thing, those skills are going to increase. That's how I'm going to run it. Is the more you do something, the more chances that skill is going to increase. What I'm going to probably say is that when you do something, I'm just going to roll a d20 quietly, and if the roll is higher than that skill's particular thing, then you can increase it. Yeah. So what that will end up doing is that it'll make it so that the higher your skill is, the harder it will be for you to advance. You see what I mean? Or I could just do 2d6 so that the maximum that any skill can be is 12. Because, you know, whatever. And that'll allow it, and they'll allow players to, you know, advance with like 2d6 or something. I don't know. So the average will be like 7. You know, rank up to 7 and then just kind of stay there for a little while. And then slowly get better and better or something. I don't know. I might do d20. Or actually, I think 3d6 would be good. I'd roll 3d6, and if it's higher than what... Jesus Christ. 3 6s. Whoo! Okay. Yeah, like, straight up. I just rolled 3 6s. Why am I not playing a game? Anyway. Totally off topic. Rambling on because I don't prepare anything ever. Except for this campaign. Moving on. So, yeah. So, the luck dice, the safety dice. That's what I'm going to call it. Safety dice. Yeah, it's safety dice. So, as just whenever I feel pity upon the player, I'm just going to throw them some d6s so that they can use whenever they want to. Also, if I deliberately just kind of dick them over, I'm going to reward them with, a safety dice. Again, Fate. Great system! I love Fate. I was thinking about using Fate for this campaign, but that's another story. Mainly because, well, I don't think Fate would work really well with this campaign. Any hoozle. So, right. So, there's that. Combat will be done by contested rolls. So, the player rolls a d20, the DM rolls a d20, you take those two results, and then you find the difference between them. After adding the modifiers and then damage. I'm not entirely 100% sure how I'm going to run damage in particular. Like, I could have certain weapons that will just add directly to the damage roll. For instance, like a longsword will just add straight, will just increase your probability of dealing damage. But you'll be able to, like, back away from it. It's like harder to dodge like a longsword. It's harder to dodge a longsword than it is to dodge someone's fists. So you're more likely to get hit, you're more likely to take damage, and the damage that you are likely to take is higher than if I were just punching you in the face. But if someone has like a great sword or like a big ass battle axe, it's not going to do that. It will make it so that if you do hit, you'll multiply that damage. So it'll be like a ×2. It'll be like a ×2 great axe or something. I'm probably going to do that more with, say, enemies. Because if you're up against this giant ogre with this huge club, you're going to be able to get out of the way quickly. But if it hits you, it's going to hurt. Or I could like set a DC or just add it afterwards or something. I'm still kind of figuring all that out. And that's what playtesting is for! Yay! This is like stupid early alpha, by the way. Even though I've been working on it for a long time, I haven't had enough time to actually run games with it or test it out or anything like that, which is unfortunate. Anyway, so there's that. Skills are pretty easy, just contested rolls or a roll versus a DC. Magic. There's Arcana, there's Alchemy, and there is Sorcery. Arcana, in game, you learn you learn arcane glyphs that act as a focus for the arcane energy, and you use that in order to crystallize a very particular spell. So each spell would have its own particular glyph, which I'm not going to draw up because I don't need to go that deep in the lore. Just it's a glyph that you copy into your spellbook, and I can throw up. I can just have the players, draw their own, glyph, their own circular glyph that looks really cool, and name the spell and all of its stats and all that shit. If they want to do that, fine by them. That's super cool, and I'd greatly encourage that. But yeah, so the way that our arcane spells work is that it's a spell that you need to learn, and you need to prepare them. You need to actually physically crystallize the spell. And then after a spell is crystallized, you can crush it or use it or whatever, release the energy in the crystal itself to cast the spell. So the way that it works is the Arcana skill determines how long it will take in order to actually prepare this spell. So if it's like a fireball, it could be a base time of half an hour with like a DC of 20. So you roll, and then you take the DC divided by the roll plus bonuses divided by the roll, and then you multiply that by the base time. A lot of this number crunching stuff is passed off to the DM because whatever, because why not? And something like that is perfectly fine because you're not doing that like in combat. You're away from combat, you're in a safe place, and you're just preparing the spells that you want to have available. So it'll just take time, and it'll be like, all right, well, you only have like 4 hours to do stuff, so what do you want to do with your time? Or it's going to take you this long to do it, or whatever, right? You can like roll with it. So yeah, there's that. And when you prepare a spell, it's a surefire thing. You will cast it because you have prepared it. It's already done. But you can run out of spells because you've run out of spells to prepare. See? You see, so that's like how that goes. And I think like in game you could do some kind of cool logic-y stuff to try and break down what the break down how the spell works, and you can like reverse engineer them to make more powerful versions or less powerful versions that take less time to prepare, things like that, which I'll kind of throw at the players and whatnot and see how they run with it. Alchemy, you need to have materials. If you're like in a city or something like that, it'll just be assumed that if you have the money, you can just go out and buy the materials that you need. But if you're out in the wilderness, you'll have to go out and find the materials that you need. Which, do I have a skill for that? There's analysis, perception. I can come up with a way to like. Well, I mean, if you know alchemy, then you know the kinds of things that you need to be looking for, and where you would be able to find them, in which case it shouldn't be too hard. Yeah, so I'll kind of pull it out of my ass as I go. And then, yeah, so your rolls are modified by the quality of the laboratory that you have. So, and it's an advantage disadvantage kind of thing. If you just have like a kitchen, then it'll just be straight roll. If you have like a master's laboratory, then it'll be like a +5 advantage, meaning that you roll like 6 dice. You roll like 6 d20s and pick whichever is highest. Yeah, and then if you're just running around trying to do shit in your hands, it's a ×5 disadvantage. So you roll 6 dice and pick whichever is the lowest, which is no bueno. It's not fun. But your roll determines the quality of the result. And you also have ammo. So you have, depending on things, you can have the potential of ridiculously broken things, but you only have a limited number of them, and you need to have the material to do it in the first place. Because alchemy can be ridiculously strong. But it still kind of balances itself out. And then sorcery, which apparently is everyone's fucking favorite form of magic. And then, like, seriously, every time that I've had a magic user, they're all like, oh, I'm just gonna do sorcery. And I'm like, fuck my life. Because sorcery is kind of like wild magic. You are just coming up with spells on the fly, and you declare a DC for this spell, which you roll against to see if you successfully cast it, and then the opponent rolls against to see if they resist the damage. So, like, a DC 5 Firebolt is really easy to cast. You can cast them all fucking day long. But your opponent will be all like, shield. whatever, right? And so like a cantrip would be like a DC 1 kind of spell. Just cast fireworks. Yeah. And then like there could be like certain kinds of spells that would be, you know, stuff. Like, I'm gonna cast a DC 1, set the whole fucking room on fire. I'm like, okay, roll. And then I'm like, okay, everyone in the room, make a roll. They're like, okay. I'm like, yeah, you resist not being set on fire. You know, like, it's that kind of thing. And then, of course, there's Divine Magic, which is very limited, but your roll equals the DC. But there's only so much you can do. Yeah. And so, I think that's pretty much all the basics behind the system so far. If you have questions, you can certainly post them in the comments, and I can update this video or something. I know this video is getting really long. If you'd like to stop watching now, then go for it, because I'm going to go into crazy math on how to turn a D20 into a D anything. Okay? So, for those of you who no longer care, I wish you the best of luck. If you're interested in running a game with this, running a game with this system, I'm sure not very many of you are actually watching this video in the first place. But if you are, then awesome. Let me know in the comments, and I'll do a detailed explanation of the system itself as it is. It'll probably take a few weeks, which means they'll be a little bit more polished. And again, you can freely use it. I really don't care. So, for those of you who are leaving me now, good day to you, good sir. For those of you who are staying, pull out your pen and paper, or do crazy math in your head like I did. And so here we go. So in the world that I'm doing my campaign in, there's 7 groupings. So I was making a rollable table on, to just randomly roll what your race is. So, and I really like the idea of only having to use a D20, because I like D20s. I love D20s, and I made a system around D20s. So, D20, 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 D20. So, a while ago, I learned about how to make a flip of a coin emulate any arbitrary probability. Like, literally any arbitrary probability. Which is kind of nuts. It's cool. Using decimal expansions of that probability. So let's say that you want to do a D7. Okay? That takes a little bit of work, but here it goes. It's actually really simple. It turns out to be pretty nifty, actually. Ugh. Ooh, ow. Okay. So here's how you turn a D20 into a D7. Yes, I know you can just roll a D8 and re-roll 8s. Works just fine. But if you want to do other arbitrarily weird stuff, this is how you do it. So what you do is, so a D20 is essentially a random number between 0 and 19, or an arbitrary single-digit base 20 number. Essentially, that's what it is. Plus 1. That's what a D20 generates. So, in order to make it so that you can make a D20 emulate any arbitrary probability, so let's just take the D7 for example, right? So we have a D7, we want a D7, we have a D20. So what we do is we take, well, what is 1 divided by 7 in base 20? Because in base 10, it is 142857, 142857, 142857, 142857, and etc., etc., etc. You can take that and just roll a D20 and then do some stuff. But so we need two things. One, we need to have the rules of it, and two, we need to have the numbers to roll against. So I'll do the number generation first, and I'll get to how to actually make it useful second. Okay. So you can just use the decimal extension, the base 10 decimal expansion works just fine. Just roll it and drop the ones digit, or drop the tens digit, and that's what you use, which is perfectly okay. But if you want to just take the number on the die, plug it in, see what happens. That's what I'm going to get at. So anyway, and technically you can do it with D6s. I've turned a D6 into a D10 before, and I've forgotten the sequence of numbers to do it. But anyway, so to generate the numbers that you're rolling against, that you're going to be using. So D7, 1 divided by 7, in expanded decimal notation in base 20. So 1 divided by 7, since it's base 20, you bring that 1 down and add a 0. 10. So you write a 0, and then you bring down the 1 and the 0, so you have 10. But it's base 20, so that 10 is actually a 20. So now you have 20 divided by 7. What do you get? You get 2. So the first number is going to be 2. I just use a colon to separate the digits, because it's convenient to me. But you can use any kind of notation that you want. That's just what I personally do. So you write down that first number, 2, and now you have 14. 20 minus 14 is 6. So you have the 6, bring down the 0, so you have 60. Stop. You don't actually have 60. You have 6 times 20, which is 120. Which ends up coming up to 7 goes into 120 14 times. 17 times, actually. Which gives you a remainder of 1, and so on. Which means you flip back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. You just have to trust me on this one. And I've also discovered that for the 7 series, you always come up with a pair, and that pair always adds up to 19. So really all you need to do is generate the first one, and you have the second one, and you're good to go. Technically you only need to do the first 3, because the last 3 are just the mirror images of the first 3. So, yeah. So you have 2 and then 17. So for the next one, you have 2 divided by 7, so 40 divided by 7, so 5. Which, remainder 5 times 100, which means 14. So, you have 2, 17, 5, 14. Then the next one, 3, you will generate 3 times 20 is 60, 8, and then 11, and then it goes backwards. So it's 11, 8, and then 14, 5, and then 17, 2. There's one more number left. What do we use for that? It's literally anything outside of those realms. So I represent it as 19 repeated. Oh, and all those are repeating sequences. So I just do endless string of 19s, which, and again, expanded decimal notation, is literally equal to 1. Because endless string of 9s is literally equal to 1. So, yeah. But that's, again, a bunch of mathy stuff. So, you have a sequence of shit. So, 2 and 17, alternating back and forth. So, you roll a d20. I'm going to roll it. I have a 16. So, 16 is greater than 14 and less than 17, which means that it will be in the 6 slot. I just generated a 6. So what happens if I roll a 14? Well, 14 is already on the list, so we don't know if it's going to be We don't know what side is it going to be. Is it either going to be on the 6 side or the 5 side? So we roll it again. And the next time, like I rolled a 10, so 14, 8, 14, 5. It is greater than 10, so it is in the 6 slot, not the 5 slot. If it was less than 5, then it would be in the 5 slot. If it was 5, then I'd roll it again and compare it to 14. Greater than or less than. Generally speaking, you really only have to roll twice, ever. Usually only once. And it would be incredibly rare to have to roll 3 times in order to boil it down. And you will generate an even probability between 1 and 7. And then you can apply this kind of math and apply this kind of logic to any arbitrary number, even like 1 billion if you wanted to. A D1 billion off of a D20. Which is absurd, and why would you ever do this? That's dumb. But anyway, that's it for this video. I know that last bit was super nerdy and mathy and bullshitty and all that stuff, but it's over, it's done. See you later. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.